What is going on in these markets? We don't know, but maybe some technical analysis experts do. Question everything, trust nothing. Welcome to Debate Crypto. It's your boy, CryptoKeeper, here for another episode of TA Thursday around the charts. Hopefully everyone is doing well. The markets, however, we'll talk about that in a minute, have not been faring so well. We'll get into it here in a second. But we have two special guests. We've got your boy, CVO Crypto. CVO, what's up, brother?
How you doing, guys? Good to be on.
Glad to see you, brother. And we also have the legend, Frankie Candles. Frankie's, what's up, brother?
What's going on? Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Glad that you are here. And then we actually have somebody backstage that actually is getting prepped right now. He's not on the show often. He's busy doing all the technicals, but let's see. Is he ready? There he is. We have the BlockchainCrusader in the house. Glad to see him. We're going to be the tag team duo again. I think we might for a little while be both on.
I'm free, baby.
So Crusader's free. So we're going to, take a stab at going at this again with both of us as opposed to one or the other for a little while, see how that goes. So, hey, if you haven't smashed the like yet, do that. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel, put the bell notifications on. And then, as always, follow Frankie Candles, follow CVO. They are here on their own time, giving you the alpha. Now, before we get into it, let me jump into the chat. Tony D was first in the house. Tony D says, hey, Debate Crypto. What's up, brother? Good to see you. We appreciate you for being here, brother. Timothy Bunch in the house. Mr. Blake. We've got Burke, as always, in the house. Who else we got down here? Let me scroll down a little bit farther. Bullish on Parade, said Tony D. Made me show up. Tony D, bringing people with you. Appreciate you. Joe Mama. Oh, there's a good name. I like that one. Joe Mama. Good to see everybody and sophisticated dirt bag fly fishing. So, everybody, what's going on with these markets?
What a name.
Oh, dude, I love pointing out some of the fun names. Probably my favorite name that I've come across is got to be Joe Biden's ice cream shop. Have you seen this guy? Have you seen this guy? He used to be around all the time. I haven't seen him for a while. So if you're out there, Mr. Biden's ice cream shop, love the name. Bro. What'd you say?
Ice cream melted.
That's right. The ice cream is melted and the markets are melting too. Let's take a peek at it. All right. So the global market cap is at 1.06 trillion with the T dollars. That's down 2.74%. Bitcoin, flirting with 26 again. 26,286, down over 3.5%. ETH at 1657. Same story, down almost 3%. Rolling through the top 10, guys. You know what time it is. BNB still staying above that 212 number that everybody was talking about. It's at 217. XRP fam, we're at 50 cents. Aren't we supposed to be at like $50 now that this case has gone the right direction? I don't know. Dogecoin down 2%. I think there's an interesting play with Dogecoin. Maybe we'll speculate on that a little bit today. And then rounding out the top 10, we've got Tron sitting pretty flat at 7.5 cents. All right, so gents, let's kick this off with a little after the market watch. I'm going to kind of talk about the overall markets. Crusader, you and I were talking earlier today about Squawk Box. They were having a discussion on some ETF stuff. Walk me through what that discussion was and tell me kind of your thoughts on it.
Yeah, dude. So the discussion is actually pretty interesting. They were talking about the ETF happening. Is my screen frozen?
I can't do it either. I can't grab any of the try to make a move. Hold on a second. I was trying to grab. There we go. All right, cool.
So, it was a pretty interesting conversation. They were basically talking about the ETF and it getting approved or not. The rumor in that video was, right, this is Squawk Box. These are, traditional finance people that know way more things than I know. And they were talking about the spot ETF being possibly approved in the fall. There is a deadline for, I believe it's either I think it's ARK Invest or Grayscale, forget which one it is, that is in January. So either whether it happens now before that deadline or it happens in January, if it did, and they're speculating that it will, that could lead to a frenzy of all these spot ETFs being approved at the same time, including BlackRock's and all these other huge hedge funds, which leads into the crazy conspiracy I've been talking about, the super cycle, right? If this does happen now, right before the halving event happening in May or April of next year, which is not that long from now, could lead to a massive supply demand, right? A demand for supply of Bitcoin. And then there's a shock of supply when the supply drops with the halving, and could lead us into this super cycle. So I believe if it does happen, prices could go crazy in these next couple of months. But now, that's what we're here for. How low can we go?
Yeah, for sure. So, Frankie, let me ask you: Would you see, just kind of as a speculation, would you see if one gets approved, like boom, they're all approved, let's get it? Do you think that's how it'll go, or do you think it's going to be kind of an individual basis and they're going to kind of roll it out, or it's like one fits all, one size fits all?
Yeah, it is kind of hard to say. I will say I am definitely, I do think once one gets approved, I think it will start that kind of snowball effect of, multiple coming in right after that, because as soon as one gets approved, it makes it that much easier, or at least, we kind of have that, it kind of breaks the ice, right? There's less to do in order to approve the next one. So I do think it will start kind of a snowball effect, and they'll just keep getting approved. But then again, I can see them kind of, dragging their feet as much as they can. But yeah, I do think probably in short, it would kind of cause a snowball effect, because once that one is approved, it kind of just clears the way and paves the way for those other ones to kind of come up and get quickly approved right after.
So, CVO, I know you don't pay attention to the news too much, but my question to you would be, would you see a big wave of liquidity happening pretty immediately when that happened? Or do you think like some of these institutions are going to kind of start to toss in, just kind of slowly kind of go at their people? Or do you think they've kind of prepped people, hey, we're going to be piling in when this gets approved?
Well, if this last just news event, granted, I know it didn't get approved, but if this doesn't prove, that news necessarily doesn't always kind of lead to solid upside only. I don't know what would, right? So you got two cases recently of the SEC deal and this one where you had this, huge good news, where I know that both of those haven't technically gotten to where, people could be flooding in. So I think that they'll get approved, and it'll probably coincide with a time frame, like when we're like in the middle or the midst of a bull run, and it's just like the chart, the price action would probably already be in a position where you're going to be over, potentially exposed to the downside and looking for an upside move, and then you get that random ETFs approved by BlackRock today, and you got 100% rally or whatever the case may be. So I guess the easy answer would be, I guess, yeah, sure. Like, liquidity probably will flood in, coincidingly with a time frame where I'm sure the price action would already be on its way to these certain areas, but that'll be the reason, right? The news will be the today's excuse type of deal. So
yeah, I think that a lot of the things that happen in the markets, you talk to CVO as an example, who is just strictly, not news, just looking charts. I think, Frankie, you're very similar. I know you pay attention to it, but just kind of, looking at the charts and trade the charts. I think that there's always some of the things that coincide, I can't see them all being coincidental. Like the setup's perfect, and then the news comes. And the reality is, a lot of these institutions or most of the institutions are these big players. And what do we know in traditional finance? The big players are the ones that have the information.
Insider trading.
Yeah, well, let's call it what it is, right? The facts are also, if we really want to be, if we want to get down to the nitty gritty, crypto's not regulated at this point, and there's 4 people on the stream probably that get information on some of these meme coins once in a while before everybody else does. Wouldn't that be considered like the information that some of these bigger institutions get, just on a much larger level? It's kind of the same idea. They're in a position.
You holding out on me, bro?
They're in a position. We'll talk about that later. Okay. They're in a position to basically get that information, and then obviously the chart setups kind of coincide with that. So I'm looking forward to seeing, hopefully, that get approved. But Frankie, let me get into the technical analysis. First of all, smash that like if you haven't already. Just a reminder, follow Frankie, follow CVO. Make sure you hit the bell notification. And then Danger Close Alpha, we went live last week. We're about to go live this week. If you like conspiratorial political stuff, we're going to be bringing on guests almost every week as well. That's Sundays at 1 p.m. We're getting ready to give away a t-shirt at 50 subs. So like I said, we just started, and it feels really weird, doesn't it, Crusader, to like start over? We're about to hit 10K on here, right? And like starting over a YouTube. Have either of you, let me ask real quick before we dive into the charts, CVO or Frankie, have either of you like started from scratch on built a following and then started from scratch? Have either of you done this?
Hopefully not in the future. I started from zero originally,
Right.
but I've never built it, gone to zero, and started. But I would 100% if I had to. I definitely would.
Yeah, for sure. It's just a weird, strange feeling. CVO, I think you started to shake your head.
I'm sure.
You've done it?
Oh yeah, on TikTok. Back
He's like, oh yeah, I've been booted from TikTok like 7 times. I'm a
yeah. They were pretty harsh, man, for a long time. Like, and you know, it was like just your account would just get straight, you know, community guidelines over almost nothing.
Yeah.
You know, really like up to about a year and a half ago, and then like in October of like 2021, my main account got completely banned. You know, permanently. I got it back somehow. I didn't even know it. I just logged back in a few months later to, you know, just to see. But I ended up having to start up a new one. And yeah, it was like, you know, it had like 90,000 on one and had to build the other one up. It was like, got to like 10, you know, it's no matter what, like you're always going to lose, you know, your followers somehow. It's just that the ease of just having to go over or find you or, you know, once you get them, it's definitely something you want to, you know, keep a hold of. So,
and then people don't like when they don't see you. So I'm treading on thin ice with TikTok right now as well. And when people don't see you or what, I'm hoping it's weird because I don't want to censor myself, which is what we hate, you know, censorship. We talk about it a lot. I don't want to have to censor myself, but I have to be careful because at the same time, the almost 120,000 followers I have on there, I also don't want to lose that following either, just because I want to, you know, talk about specific issues. I don't know. But yeah, so if you guys want to follow us on Danger Close Alpha, we probably will get banned on YouTube there. So if you want to see that happen, come on over and check it out. We're definitely going hard in the paint. All right, cool. Let's get into
the super chats. Digital.
Oh, my bad.
Dave Digital says, "Oh my God, candles."
Well, I mean, he's saying he's giving $2 to us for Frankie. So Frankie, thank you. We'll send you $1 here in a little bit.
And Tony D says, shout out to Debate Crypto and the Candle Mafia. Thank you for the super chat, guys. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys for being here. All right, so let's kick it off. Let's get into the actual TA, what you guys all probably came for. Frankie, what in the name of red candles is going on with Bitcoin? So we saw this nice move to the upside from the Grayscale info, I don't know, for a day or two or whatever it's been, right? And now this. So talk to me. What are the charts telling you right now?
Yeah. So, you know, I love that you said that, Keeper, because let me see if I can share my screen. Boom. So I love that you said that, right? Because I've been talking a lot recently about, you know, show me the charts and I'll tell, or yeah, show me the charts and I'll tell you the news. And I was saying that specifically right down here as we were coming down to this value area low at about 25,872. We got that big quick move down, kind of bounced around on this level a little bit. But we did, I'm not going to go through everything we were looking at, but we saw those bullish confirmations at this level of support saying, hey, you know, not only do we have things, you know, such as 4-hour bullish divergences into a key level of support with money flow coming up, at least on the 4-hour. You could see this here with our lower lows on price action and our higher lows on the momentum waves, with the money flow also coming back into the green, or at least coming up to cross towards the green. And this is why I like market ciphers so much, is because the money flow can be somewhat leading, right? It's very rare to find an actual leading indicator. And when you see the money flow is trending to the upside, I always tell people just connect your dips or your peaks of the money flow. And if that line is trending to the upside, you can assume that this trend may be ready to shift up. And this is, you know, just some of the things we were looking at that key level of support to look for a bounce to the upside. And it's funny that you say, you know, show me the charts, I'll tell you the news. And we were sitting here like, hey, it looks like we're probably going to get some kind of a move up here. And it wasn't just the bullish divergences, the key level of support. It was also the fact that we basically had this massive quick move down with no recovery or retracement at all. There was no relief after that dump. So it would make sense to kind of get a move up. But my general sentiment was, because of the money flow coming out on the higher time frames, you could see this here on the 3-day as well as the 4-day starting to creep out there. We were actually looking for a bounce. But with the money flow coming out on the higher time frames, we were actually looking at a rejection and at a lower high, right? And one of those levels we were looking at was actually on the daily, looking to come up and retest that 200-day moving average in a bearish manner before putting in a lower high and continuing to the downside. And we actually did get a pretty harsh rejection off that level. So for me, if we were to continue down, really our next key level of support, in my opinion, is going to be this value area low once again at $25,896. Once we start breaking this decisively, I think we could start looking down even lower towards the golden pocket retracement of this entire move, which is coming in right about here. Again, this is if we lose that key level of support that we're hitting right now. Could be on our way down towards that, $24,270 level. That would kind of be the next major level of support I'd be watching if we start, breaking the levels that we're at right now.
Yeah, so Frankie, the other day when we had CVO on, actually, I did probably some of the best technical analysis maybe any of you have ever seen, and I want to show it to everybody. Okay,
please.
It's right here. Bitcoin going down, and the next day, right? The next day after I showed that, we got the grayscale info, and I told Crusader, I said, bro, with no context whatsoever, don't tell them the grayscale things. Just go ahead and clip that and say, this is why not to follow Keeper's TA. However, now that it's been another day or two, Keeper's TA spot on. So, guys, if you're looking for the real alpha, okay, I spent a lot of time doing this, right? So Bitcoin down, just pay attention. There's more where that came from.
Hey, man, TA is all about cherry picking.
That's right.
What you got. You say both ways. You wait till one plays, and you
that's
go back
right.
and flip it.
That's right. You know what? I just, I'll put an up and a down arrow. I'll make one with an up and a down arrow, and then I'll just kind of move. You know what I mean? But in the camera view, and I'm like, oh, I'm right every.
Make sure you give yourself enough time in between your upside scenario and your down, so it just seems like you can make a whole video and just clip it nicely 2 days later.
They're like, this dude is on fire. He is right every freaking time. The direction of the market. This is insane. He's like Janet Yellen over here or whatever. All right, so let's keep.
I just want to quickly say we crossed 9,900 subs today. We're less than 100 subs away from 10K, baby. Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Hey, hold on a second, Crusader. What are we gonna give away? We got to give away something when we hit 10K. What do we want to give away?
Well, I already gave away my job. I don't know what else I can give away for the community.
I think you should give away a free Telegram group for Keeper TA.
Oh yes, that would be definitely valuable. It would be the inverse, and it would be the inverse Keeper group, and I would make calls, and everybody could just do the inverse of my calls. It would be the inverse Keeper group. That's a great idea. All right, Crypto fam, let's dive back into it. CVO. So we're everybody seems to be kind of bearish, right? What's the play here? Like, what are the targets to the up? I guess if you have some upside targets, whatever. But to the up or downside, what are you looking for today after the kind of the bearish move today? As we check things out.
Yeah, so similar to kind of what Frankie was just looking at. So on last week's episode, and I'm looking at so there's two ways to look at, well, not two ways, but it depends on what exchange you're looking at. So I'm looking at the Bybit chart, because that's generally what we trade here. So there's a perp contract here. So the low on Bitcoin did go a little bit lower than on like most other charts, right? So we went down to like 23,611 on there. And so at least on this area here, on our last episode, I think it was Monday actually that I was on here with you guys, we were just trading in within this region. We had a area that I was looking to come down and sweep, right? And the idea here was that we were looking for a short squeeze potentially, because there was a lot of, we identified a lot of open interest of new shorts coming in at this region. Which, made sense at the time, even going along with your TA for Monday, right? Everybody was bearish, looking down only. So we did end up getting that little bit of a short squeeze, and it just was very much that. It was just very small, right? Like I was actually looking to see if we'd come back down and retest some of these regions and then run it up to this area here. And all we effectively did was just come up to a super local gold pocket, at least on the Bybit chart, right? So I don't know what it looks like on the other ones, but you can see how we just kind of came up in this area, right at 28K too, nice rounded number like everybody likes. And then for a couple of days, we just slowly grinded back down to this region. Today, we hit these areas and just kind of nuked right through them. So at the moment, that's a pretty bearish thing in my opinion. And for the reason being that, we'll break it down a lot more on time frame. So we trade the previous week range quite often, right? So when we look at our previous week here for Bitcoin, right? So I'm going to go ahead and turn off some of this stuff here. Turn off the April low. And we'll take off the pivot for now. We've got a pretty nice little range, right? Our previous week high was in that cluster with the April low, with the yearly pivot. So this was an area we wanted to see broke out, come back and back test. We wanted to see that held. Did not do that, right? So straight nuke through, right back in. We're basically back into the range right now. We've got our weekly open we want to hold, but more than anything, I would imagine that we're going to make our way down to sweep last week's low, right? So similar to just when you're looking at the previous day or the previous month, once you come back in, back test that previous high, you got a really big chance of running it all the way back down. And then I think Frankie was just highlighting that gold pocket. There's an overall gold pocket, but I'm kind of looking for more so this a little bit more of a local area right here, right? So it's give or take down to like 25.2, and realistically going to be just a hair below that more than anything. I think we could probably pierce below 25K and really get everybody stopped out of those even numbers. Like I said, that'd be the previous week low, comes right in here too, right at that gold pocket. So that'd be the next area I'm looking for. It's not a huge drop, obviously, from where we are now. That's like 4%. Even when we're talking about it, doesn't even the numbers sound bigger than it is.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'm still anticipating to see if we actually get this move back up towards this like $30,500 area. And this is going to seem super basic on the reason, not the only reason why, but it would be it would make a lot of sense here to basically chop everybody out, right? We had all the shorts piling in here. You just kind of squeezed them all out. You get a little bit more downside. Potentially, we keep going down, right? We all know the lower targets at hand. And you do have to be able to pivot as we go. See, that's how you do the old, we're going to go up and we're going to go down, and I'll be able to clip that later to make sure, see which way we hit. And, but the most basic thing that I just can't get my eyes off of at the moment is this head and shoulders that it's so obvious that I couldn't imagine it actually playing out. But
what's that downside target again on that?
I just feel like it might play out, and it's just like an interesting thing. And there's targets, that I have in mind that have way other reasoning behind it other than this. This is just a random, like, I feel like if we were to potentially look back at this in 10 years or something, depends on where you're going to put the breakout. The breakout technically would be here, but it'll take you down to like 20K. So
right at that CME gap.
Right at the CME gap, right at just a multitude of things. Obviously come down and take all the lows, really just jack everybody up into that, red September type of deal. It's pure speculation at the moment. I'm just kind of taking it level by level as we go, but that's the kind of bigger picture is that even if we do come down a little bit more right now, short term, I'm just looking for that easy previous week range, just flip, right? We just took the high. Next, we're going to probably come down, take the low, basically just chop everybody out for the last week and a half. And then we'll see how things kind of progress.
Yeah. There's a lot of question marks in the market, but most of us are kind of looking at this being an ugly, oh my gosh, Crusader, I'm going to kill you. Okay, there we go. We're both over here trying to do the same thing. We both have controls behind the desk here. So when you see the same thing flip-flopping, it's probably we're both doing the same thing. Hey, real quick, we had some super chats I wanted to throw out there. We have got, so thank you guys very much. Creighton C says, Mafia strong, brother. Love you, Frankie. Love you, debate. Hey, we appreciate you, brother. Dave Digital, longtime subscriber. Dave, good to see you, brother. Thank you for the super chat. And then Crespo Crypto, Crespo from over on Tiki Taki. Debate Crypto Candle Mafia, legendary duo. Appreciate you, brother. Glad that you're doing well and good to see you. All right, so Crusader, you have been diving into and trading more and more and trying to learn, and that's what a lot of people come on to shows like this for, to kind of figure out, hey, maybe scratch my back, show me what kind of the experts are thinking and whatnot. What have you been doing, just kind of for the people to know, what have you been doing to try to help yourself just get better as it relates to trading? And what are kind of some simple lessons that maybe you've learned along the way? Because I know it's not always upside.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. So sweet baby Jesus. One of the simple things that I've learned is I actually put an order in on Amazon for a protective cup, because I've been taking a lot of kicks to the nuts lately. So it's one of those things, right, where you just have to come to terms with it, that if you're gonna start learning how to trade, you're gonna lose a lot of money. It's all about, it's the educational fees, right? Kind of when you go to college, you pay the tuitions, right? I think CVO said that to me one day. It's the tuitions of joining the trading university, and it really is. It's one of those things where you got to keep your emotions checked. I got over emotional one time into a trade, lost $2,000 on it, and then I was like, whoa. And then from there on, I spent like at least 2 weeks where I was afraid of jumping into any trade. So like I was doubting myself, even though I knew what I was looking at. I was still doubting. I was like, no, I'm not gonna get in because I had just lost so much money that I was like, I can't afford to lose more money.
Just sit and lose $2,000 every day. That gets expensive.
It's all emotional. I missed out on a lot of trades that could have actually made me money if I would just listened to the TA, but I was emotional on the other side. So there's emotions on both sides, going into a trade, getting out of a trade, whether you jump into one or not. So emotions is definitely one thing that I would harp on the most. The TA aspects of learning the different levels is actually a lot simpler than most people think. I've obviously been taking CVO's course. I've been watching all his videos, talking to them in the background, asking questions. I know I've been annoying the crap out of CVO lately. Like, bro, I need to make some money. What trade is it working? Right. And it's just emotional stuff. So definitely that would be the biggest lesson is keep your emotions in check and get ready to lose some money for a long time before you make $1.
Or I think the other side of that, and I've seen people do this, they make their first couple trades and it's just they just get lucky on a couple trades.
Oh, dude.
And then they're like, well, shit, I'm pumping in, baby, because I'm good at this.
My first week and a half, I was up $600. I was up $600. I was making nothing but wins. I was like, bro, why haven't I been doing this longer? This is easy peasy, bro. Yeah, let me tell you, I got wrecked real quick. I haven't made $1 since.
Yeah.
I would say that the number one thing that probably hurts a lot of people is just that, like, right, you'll come in and you'll get, even if it's not luck, even if you actually have a strategy behind it to some degree, you'll just go bigger on the next trade and the next trade, and then you'll get your stop loss a little bit wider, or you'll get a little, or you'll notice like, for example, right, I was looking for that area to come down to that April low, previous week high, and it's like, but if you presetting, I think is probably the number one thing that'll jack everybody up, because you can just immediately get stopped out, potentially liquidated, depending, because we can wick through areas and then come right back up, get the reclaim, and that's when you take off. And essentially, that's what you have to be able to kind of look for, right? You have to identify areas to come through, have an alert on it, and you have to wait for a reaction. And that's the hardest part. Is like a lot of people can't wait. Something will get to an area, a gold pocket, or whatever they're looking for, and then they'll immediately try to market buy after it's already kind of bouncing already, just to come down and get stopped out right away or liquidated. And then it's just jump back in and you just lose money, all in, the same trade that you probably could have, done well on if you just kind of like had a little strategy behind it, a little patience.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons that I don't really trade very often is because I know my lifestyle well enough to know that I'm not sitting at my computer to be able to make the moves like that. So I would effectively have to preset most of my moves to be able to be effective with it. I'm always doing something or out or whatever the case may be. And I've done it in the past and I've gotten lucky, whatever it happens. But ultimately it just didn't really work well for my lifestyle. So you're hearing it here, guys. Like, there's successful traders on here, and you do have to pay some dues to be able to do that. That's the same thing with crypto, though. People start off with a meme coin that goes nuts, and then they're like, well, shoot, I made all this money on this. Let's put it here, 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 and here. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute, this is like a real market, and people lose real money. Right. So it is kind of the price to pay to get into the space. Hey, I want to shout out real quick. Got another super chat. Green Day Profits. He is actually, I want to rectify something. He was first in the chat, and he's first in the chat probably 70% of the time. I didn't see it, so I apologize, brother. Thank you for being here. $10 super chat says Keeper Crusader. I appreciate you guys. And Frankie, I'll see you on your stream later too. So thank you very much. Good to see you, brother. Okay, so excuse me. I want to know, it just feels like Bitcoin is playing this game of limbo, Frankie. It's like, how low can we go? So what we look for in trading, or what I hear you guys talk about a lot, is pivot points to reclaim, indicating a reversal. And a lot of times, people like to hear, what's the upside look like? So Frankie, can you talk to me about what maybe some pivot points might look like to possibly see that move back to the upside? Because I think everybody's pretty confident that we're probably going to have some more downside action. So what do those pivot points look like?
Yeah. So first off, I do just want to say what you were just saying, Keeper, emotion is definitely the hardest part of trading. People always ask me, like, what percentage would I give it? Like, I would put TA at maybe like 30% of what makes a trader a good trader. Like, you can learn the TA, you can learn the techniques, and of course that is important. But the emotions and having to manage those trades is a whole nother animal. So I would definitely have to agree with all that. But if let me see if I could share my screen here. So what I would really be looking for, I mean, really, if we just kind of take a zoom out here and just take a look at things in the macro, I'll even go ahead and hide all these levels. And really what I would be looking for massive, massive, massive upside, or really like to kind of accept that we are going to start, really coming up and kind of mark that, most of the downside for the bear market is over. Now, I am a believer that 15.5 was more than likely the actual bottom. I'm not one of the people that says it's impossible to make lower lows, but I do, as of right now, think that there is more likely than not the bottom is here at 15.5. Once we start getting new information, if we start getting down here, start revisiting some of these lower prices, we get some confirmations that we could go lower, I'll switch my bias. Obviously, I'm a trader. That's what I do. But if we want more upside, and I'm talking about like, much more upside, really what I would be looking for, again, anyone who watches my channel will know that I am a big fan of the volume profiles. And, if I go ahead and pull this range, and again, this is like on the weekly chart now, this is kind of a very, 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 very big level that I would like to see flipped. And it's the value area low, basically from the top of the bull market, right? We came up here, we put in our first top. I do believe this was actually the peak of the market. If you look at things such as like the search term analytics for Bitcoin, amongst other things, it does show that most of the excitement was really at this top. And then this looked like more of some kind of a inflated dead cat bounce. I was comparing XRP to Bitcoin as well. Very similar price action, but, XRP actually made a lower high here. A lot of things actually made a lower high here where Bitcoin technically made a higher high. But, because we kind of created this, somewhat of a range up here at the top of the bull market, we get this value area low. And this has been a massive, massive, massive level we've been watching. And if we are able to come back up and get above this level, and we're able to hold it decisively with like multiple weekly candles, we tried to get above it, but we just couldn't hold it, right? But once we really do reclaim this level and hold it as support, this is, in my opinion, what opens up the door to much higher prices for Bitcoin.
What level is that? It's just kind of hard for me to see. What approximately what number you got there?
Yeah, so this is about 29,200.
Okay.
And this would likely be more of a range than just like a direct line. But for you could see like we kind of hung out here a little bit. But once we are able to hold this level of support, we could wind up getting accepted back into this area of balance. And once you hold that value area low as support, a lot of times what you do see is a push up towards that POC. The POC of these ranges typically does act as a magnet, being that this is where the most volume was transacted. So once you hold that level of support, the next place that price is likely to go is going to be that POC. The trick is trying to figure out if you are decisively holding above that level. Because like I said, we did break this, but when we were at this point, we were basically just putting in a bearish divergence on the weekly, which was making it unlikely that we were going to hold this level. So that's kind of, I would say, 29,200, the macro value area low of this range from back here, from the top of the bull market, is definitely like one of the biggest levels I'm looking at to, open up the door potentially, towards that $38,000 level.
Yeah, it's almost frustrating that we didn't hold that prior, right? Like we were up just hanging out, just absolutely hanging out at 30K, 29K, 30K. Oh, we jumped to 31, back to 29K. It seemed like we were hanging out there forever. I would like to see that reclaimed too. And that 30K number to me is just something that so many people are, that big fat number that everybody's looking for. So, did you have something else you wanted to pull, Frankie, or no?
I was just going to say, also that would get us well above the 200-week moving average, which would be obviously, this is what a lot of people look at as, bear market, bull market type thing. Once we get above this, decisively, and we're able to hold above these levels, you're above that 200-week moving average, which would be obviously a bullish signal as well. And right now we're kind of dancing with it. But I have been telling people, there's been many times you can see like, There are a lot of reasons we were looking at that 28K level for a rejection. Not only was it the 200-day moving average, it was also very close to the 200-week moving average, as well as it was also the point of control on the Bybit chart, which typically does have very accurate levels. So in a very similar way, we held this value area low and price shot right up towards that POC. It's kind of the same theory that I'm looking at, where if you hold that value area low, that next place for price to go is likely going to be that POC. It doesn't always shoot right up there immediately, but oftentimes that is how the volume profiles work. So
I had somebody call me this morning and was asking me just about just some financial ideas for, extra money regarding crypto. And, it's somebody that doesn't understand the crypto space. And I said, well, I'm not going to name it, but I said his name, and I was like, you got to give me some more info here. Are you trying to flip some money real quick and you want to know how you can make it really fast? Or because ultimately what I had to explain to him was first of all, nothing is guaranteed, even kind of, especially in crypto. Second of all, there's a lot of opportunity right now if you're willing to be patient. You're not going to get into trading. You don't even know the crypto markets whatsoever and don't have time to do that. So what's kind of your thought process? And it's funny because a lot of people that don't understand these markets hear these stories about people that make this big money really quick. And they're like, well, how do I do that? Right. He's heard me before say, oh, I did really well on this or whatever. And I'm like, dude, my whole life is freaking consumed by this. You know what I mean? This is where we are. And I think so many people don't understand that there is so much more that goes in and talking about trading, which is obviously what we're focused on here. It's the same thing there. It's there is so much information that has to go along with, like we were talking about earlier, those emotions that, it is a full-time job. I want to take a brief pause real quick. We had another super chat, and I'm interested to know, Frankie, what is this super chat about right here? Frankie, Dave had a question. Wants to know when your bath water will be available. This is getting kinky quick. Oh, and the hair dolls have shipped. Thesis bought 3. Facts. You have to explain this.
Shout out to Dave Digital. And was that Creighton that said that? Yeah. Shout out to both of them. It's a new project that I'm working on that I can't really disclose any new information on, but we will be adding some new products to the merch store.
Is this on OnlyFans?
It's on a new website. I don't want to give it away, but I'm not going to say it's not.
Only Franks.
All right. Well, I figured that would be a fun little super chat to ask about. So shout out to you. Appreciate you, Creighton. Appreciate the love. Make sure you guys smash the likes if you haven't already. We got 120 people in here. Appreciate you all for being here. Hit the bell notification. Make sure you're subscribed to all of the channels on here. The links are down below. All right. So CVO, let's just assume Bitcoin goes to the downside. Here's where I'm going to pin you where you might not be able to clip this so well if this goes bad. All right.
Damn it.
Give me some low ball numbers for Bitcoin and ETH and show me why those numbers specifically on the chart, why you're kind of targeting maybe those low ball numbers.
Sure. So it's, and the thing is for me too, is, here we go. I'm not just looking for it to go straight down from here, right? So right. I really do foresee. I don't want to say foresee. I can't imagine we potentially push back up to the 30K region one more time before making the.
You said you could imagine that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's still a very valid target of mine. Just right now, it depends on how you get an entry or what we do in this little region here. And I guess let me take it back. Let me go on the. Like I said, the Bybit chart does look a little bit different because of that wick. But when we were looking at the Coinbase chart, or maybe it was Binance. Which one did I make?
Look at this. Look at this number. Somebody just put. Oh, whoa! Chat's going live. Hold on a second. Going 9,600 Bitcoin AZTV and a $420 ETH. I will be mortgaging the house and everything in it.
Oh,
if we hit a 9,600 ETH or Bitcoin and a $420 ETH, I'm sure there's a nice little fun play on numbers with the 420 ETH. But
hey man, $500 ETH would be dope. But yeah, I don't think we're gonna get those this time around. But yeah, whatever. Obviously, yet to be seen. But for me, I'm still looking for a push up before we get the next leg down, whether it's up to 30K or not. There's a lot of reasoning behind that between both Ethereum and Bitcoin. Got some levels left up here. Got a lot of people that entered in shorts that are pretty good in profit at the moment, but just very similar to this, right? You see a lot of times where we return up, stop everybody out before you get that move down. On top of that, just like I said, you'd have to see some levels claimed. So we're looking for, pretty much that 27K at the moment back to the upside. So, but as for the downside, I mean, I honestly, the simplest TA right now could point it out. And I do think that Head and Shoulders gives a little leeway down to 20K. You do have that, last low basically that comes in here. You've got, you could stack on a couple things. This is a quarterly range as well. This was an old gold pocket that we front ran. This is what else you got there? This is a monthly NPOC down at 23K. There's a 6-month untapped pivot down here. There's just a lot that we left down here. And one big thing is I think I've just went over this a couple months back or a couple weeks back on here. Is even the COVID dump, was a very technical move. It was a backfill of an old point of control for a quarterly that was missed on the way up. So just similar to how we jolted out of this region here, right? This was Q4, right? Ends of the year right here. New year starts right there. And you see how we've just kind of ran it up. We left a old point of control back in 2019 during that run up. And then the Rona dump came back, filled it to the T, and then off we went. We have a similar situation to that, and one of those actually just got filled right here. We left one from June. We left one from, I think it was March as well, and it's right there at 23K. And then, like I said, you've got basically the low here. You've got, I think, the old 2017 high, which, it's going to offer up some support, I guess, if you want to look at it like that. The CME gap is one as well. I'm almost more focused on like 22 to 23K, and that's where I'll be looking to, but I'm not going to overlook the 19 and 20. The only reason I think of the 20K is like we might not get to it is only a contrarian view because everyone will be targeting there for the CME gap, but technically that is a region. So I would say that those would be the end all be alls. Could it go lower? I mean, we could. Anything's possible. But for me, I would say that I'm going to be very.
What's a 20K? What's a 20K Bitcoin put ETH at? Just as kind of a guesstimate.
Probably 1,200.
$1,200.
Yeah.
ETH held really strong over this last, I guess it'd be like 8 months or whatever. I actually, when it held at like 2K for how long, or right around the $19,000 to $2,000 number, I felt like it held really strong versus Bitcoin. It seems like it might be weakening a little bit at
I was going to say it took a pretty big dump on the last one here, but so I mean, even for ETH too, like just a really quick overview. I mean, this is almost telling more of the story than Bitcoin would be, right? As far as like looking at it, just a downtrend. So you've got your high, your low, your lower high. Now you got the lower low. Looking for this run back potentially up to like 1920. That's kind of like correlating the 30K Bitcoin region as well. And then that would be a potential last little, lower high. Then we may make that jaunt down towards this region. And same thing, just got some really nice volume targets. We've got an old quarterly level down here as well, basically all the way back down. This is the yearly open. Don't think we'll necessarily like take out the lows, but I do think that that's in the cards. And something like that would be pretty drastic. I mean, you're talking if we made it all the way back up to like 1900 first, potential like 40% drop. So that would be pretty nasty. Rather be equivalent to a Rona dump, in my opinion. Obviously, I know we had a lot more downside back then. We also had a really big, a lot more upside at the time, right? When we ran up, like Bitcoin went from 3K to 14 and then down to 3 again. So we didn't have that much upside this time around. So for me, that's another reason why I'm just looking at not as crazy as a pullback. If we do get, some kind of Armageddon, I guess, in the next few weeks, down to like 9 and 10K, I think that, I'm in agreement with Mr. Frank. November was the low, and we're just kind of putting in that potential higher low around these regions.
Cool. Yeah, that 20K number with that CME gap among the 6 other things that you threw out there, I think are really interesting to look at. Crusader, let me ask you this: what would it take? Let me take the screen share off here. What would it take for you? Like right now in the market, currently where we sit, what would it take for you to say, hey, you know what? I think the bull market might be back. What kind of, like, would it be like a news catalyst? Would it be TA related, a combination of the two? What would it take for you to say, I'm bullish AF? Let's go.
Yeah, clearly I don't know anything about trading because all I do is lose money. So I'm going to go with the news catalyst. I'm going to go with the spot ETFs getting launched. And I saw somebody's question on here as well, was from Green Day Profit, saying, when the ETFs get started to get approved, do you guys think they will get approved at the same time if there's no special treatment towards BlackRock? So I'll address that as well. I think the ETF will be the catalyst for the bull market. Obviously, that on top of the Bitcoin halving event, that combination, right, then goes into the whole super cycle thing. Because if we can get an ETF, I can see us going to 40,000 before the halving happens, and then with the halving, we can continue climbing from there. Of course, there's going to be up and downs. It's not going to be a one-way streak. We're not just going to go up for 12 months straight with no red candles. Right, we're going to have red candles along the way. But when it comes to the ETF, it builds into why I think it's so bullish, because there won't be just one. There's multiple ETFs all applied right now, and if one gets approved, it's going to be a cascade of all the other ones getting approved as well, including BlackRock, including Fidelity, including Grayscale and ARK and whatever, and all the other ones, Invesco, and all these other ones are being delayed currently. They will all come together, because if they allow only one ETF to one spot ETF, let's make this clear. Right? I know we have futures,
with futures
just ran by one or two other companies, but the spot is a big difference. If there's only one spot ETF approved, that spot ETF will consume a large portion of the entire market share when it comes to spot ETFs. And the way the spot ETFs work has been explained to me is this feeds into 401ks, pensions, all kinds of jobs, right? That's where all the money is coming from. And all that money is not going to go to just one company. They need to diversify that into different companies. And just there was a statistic of an ETF that went live in Canada, and one company got it just 2 days before a different company, and the second company has never been able to recuperate even close to the same amount of market share as the first company, just because it's just the money goes there and kind of just stays there. So for that reason, I think there will be all of them, or at least a good handful of them, all getting approved very close to one another within days, maybe even the same day or two, and to keep that balance in the market.
Let me add, no, that's a great analysis there. This is a really interesting question. I want to kind of do a quick answer from everybody. AZ said, I would expect the bull run to start when altcoin bag holders give up on their DCA and start a buy the dip mentality. I think this is a really interesting question, because I could see this going both ways. Frankie, let me ask you, what's your thoughts on this comment?
I think that is almost one of the most accurate ways, like all TA, if you can't look at a chart, if you can't, pay attention to the news, anything like that, you don't know anything about the 4-year cycle. Typically, counter trading the masses is like basically your best bet, right? When people go long, if you go short 9 out of 10 times, you're probably going to win. It's like just don't go with the herd, and you're more likely to be successful. So yeah, when you hear everybody, I always say, where do I think that the bottom of the bear market is going to be? And it's usually when people say crypto's dead. Guys, like that was the last bull run, 2021. Crypto's dead. They're going to shut it down, whatever. China banned Bitcoin for the 653rd time. It's dead. Crypto's dead. Don't buy. And, I talk about this recently. Anytime that I have bought a bottom and actually caught the bottom, it's felt like the worst decision in the world. When I buy, I'm like,
it's
I
scary.
Definitely just bought at the worst time. Yeah, it's one of the scariest things ever. Same thing when you sell a top, right? And I don't always sell tops. Like, I've sold
unfollow Crusader. Go unfollow Frankie. We thought he was giving us all the tops.
But yeah, like when you sell the top too, anytime I've ever sold the top of something like VeChain, like I caught the top of VeChain last cycle, like almost perfectly. And it felt like the dumbest thing ever. I was like, I'm going to sell this thing. It's going to go to 50 cents, $1, whatever. And I thought I was selling at the worst time, and it felt horrible, but I had to do it because I had my numbers, and I stick to a plan, not my emotions. And I did it, and it felt ridiculous. And I felt those horrible emotions. And then it wasn't until hindsight where I was like, I sold almost the exact top. So yeah, I would say that's actually a pretty decent way to gauge things is, when people say it's all over, that's probably a good time.
I like it. So CVO, let me twist this just a little bit. Frankie was talking about, selling tops, buying bottoms, whatever the case may be. What's a profit taking strategy for you as it relates to trading? We're talking about trading here. What's a good profit taking strategy that you like to employ CVO when you're actively in a trade? Do you like to just pull out? Do you like to do percentages? Do you like what's kind of some strategies that you use while taking profit trading?
Well, first off, I got to give Frankie the new name, Bathwater Bottom, and It really depends. I mean, honestly, there's no, in my opinion, there's no cookie cutter way, because if you're taking like a short trade, a swing trade, if you're doing just spot, if you're introducing leverage, it's just going to depend on and how far things are away.
So give me like a good example or two of how you would take profit in a certain type of a trade.
So, for example, right, like let's pull up my screen here.
Smash that like, fam. If you haven't already, make sure you got the bell notifications on. Make sure you're following everybody on the stream.
So for today, for example, right, this is one thing we were looking for before this dropped down. This was the box we were looking to, right? And it can be looked at as one of two things, either a target zone or the area you want to look for your next long, right? So we were living in this region, had an untapped daily up here that actually got front ran, but a very simple thing that you could have looked for this morning, gold pocket, right? So let's just say you entered a short here. For me, I look at the previous day ranges as well when you're looking for some just short time, like just today's price action, let's just call it. So took a short here. You could look for a couple things. You could take aggressive profits right at the previous day value area high. Otherwise, like things I'd be looking for from here was we had the VWAP coming in basically all the way back down here. This would have been a really great take profit. And overall, I've been targeting down in this box, but right here you had VWAP, we had previous day value area low, you had the day open, all stacked right here at the range low. Next one would have been the previous day low, and then at that point you would say, let's just say I took 50% off at this region. Stop loss now moved to entry, so if it comes back on me, right, and I'm saying this from entering the trade here, right, so you come down in this region. Now, if it comes back on you, you got 50%, you're in profit. You don't got to worry about it. Winning trade out the door. You're holding again for the previous day low, and you take 25% off there, leave the rest to come down in this region. Now you're fully out, and you just reevaluate. So that's how I would take.
So then you do like to basically stack your exit effectively. You like to do it in percentages, unless you get a massive move that just like hits where you wanted it to hit. You're happy with the trade, and you just boom pull.
Yeah, and it's just like it really just varies. So I mean, like it just is like that was a short day trade. So for day trading, for me, I feel like you have to be aggressive, right? Because it can turn around on you so fast. If you're looking for like a spot trade, that's a different story, right? Like where let's just say, I'm looking to buy in a Bitcoin or Ethereum today at 1650, and I'm thinking we're going back to 1920, right? That's where I'm targeting. Okay. Then I'm going to look for a couple of other areas, and you're talking about, same deal, but it's like potentially on the other side too. It's like on a spot hold, I might actually just hold out for just some bigger targets, and then I'll have to, change that along the way if we start losing certain areas. I won't necessarily just preset to take profits at like, this high or whatever the case may be. I'll kind of like let it go through it and then reevaluate, see how Bitcoin's reacting, and then kind of go from there. So Frankie said it best earlier, honestly, like and you did too, is alluding to this, right? Everybody thinks it's very simple to come in and make money in the market, and it's really not. It's going to consume you, and it really, you have to manage it. We can speculate all day long on the worst lows or the, what time frame we're going to break out into the new bear market, bull market, whatever it is. But, yesterday's, like you just said, Monday, we're still looking for low price action, but you get that huge wick up the next day, 2 days later, wicks right back down. You have to manage that along the way, and you have to be able to pivot, right? Like, so it's going to take time for anybody to come in, but that's how I would do it. And that's from years of experience at this point on how I've just kind of, came to those conclusions.
It's part of the reason. No, and I appreciate that, CVO. I know it's not, there is no cookie cutter way to do it. It's part of the game planning that you hear Frankie talking about, that you talk about, the Crusader talks about, having that game plan. Crusader and I had a conversation the other day and I told him, I said, hey, listen, like we need to, we're business partners, we're best friends, we talk all the time. We need to hold each other accountable on this next market. We were talking about profit taking, right? And the reality is it's been one of the hardest things for me to do. I have such a long-term outlook, and I continue to stack and stack and stack, but it is scary to take profit. I know people might jump in the chat and say, what do you mean it's scary to take? If you're in profit, that's great. Yeah, I hear you. But just like Frankie said, he sold the damn top of VeChain and felt awful about it, because I thought VeChain was going a lot higher than 26 cents. I'll tell you that right now, right? But his analysis told him that. And so I think one of the ways that you can avoid that, and this is what Crusader and I were talking about, is sitting down, looking at your finances, looking at how much you have into different assets, looking at what maybe your targets are for those, whether it's technical targets, whether it's just, you know, what you've looked at the last market versus this next market, how much money you think is going to be funded, whatever your analysis looks like, and having a game plan where you say, okay, I had 50K. I want to turn that 50K into 150K, let's say, just using just simple numbers, whatever. I want to 3X my money. How do I make that actually happen? So on this asset at 100%, you know, upside, I'm going to take this much off the table. At this percent, I'm going to take this much off the table, and actually have it written down as a game plan. And then the second part, and I got this actually from AJ, Frankie. AJ was telling me, he's like, dude, you need an accountability partner. I didn't pull on a trade that I was absolutely egregiously in profit, and I freaking, at any event, don't want to go through that again. But at any event, and it ended up going bad, and I went from like being $20-something thousand up to like $2,000, right? And it felt awful, right? But I didn't have like that accountability sitting there where I was talking to somebody that said, hey, bonehead, like make this move, take that you know what I mean? So I just want to throw out there to everybody, if you're actively in these crypto markets, put together that game plan, whether it's trading, whether it's DCA, whatever it may be, because you'll look back on it and kick yourself. You'll kick yourself if you had no game plan, but at least if you had a plan and you executed on the plan and that was successful, well, then you were happy with that, you know? So I just want to encourage everybody to definitely do that. Smash the like if you haven't already, guys. I appreciate everybody for being here. Crusader, anything else that I'm missing or forgot about? No? Well, let me ask you this. Frankie, CVO, what do you guys got going on? Anything, Frankie, besides selling bath water that you have going on that the people need to know about?
No, I'm going live at I'm going live at 5:45 p.m. tonight. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I got the Frankie Candles YouTube channel. You guys can go follow me there. And yeah, other than that, thanks for having me on, guys. I always appreciate it. I just love I love hanging out and getting everyone else's perspective. I love, you know, I say this every time. I love looking at other people's targets and levels and TA, and then seeing my levels match up almost perfectly, but they found it and I have those exact levels, Keeper, but I found them a completely different way, which is super interesting. And the last thing I do want to say is CVO, is that your logo on your hat?
Yeah.
Dude, that's fine. I love that. I've been wondering that the whole time. I'm like, if that's his logo,
Yeah.
that's
it's
fine.
for the trading group Leading Crypto, though. It's not my CVO logo, but yeah.
That's
it's
cool.
pretty nice.
I like
well,
it.
CVO, speaking of Leading Crypto, what do you guys got? What do you guys got going on? Let everybody know what you got going
on. Yeah. Well, first off, thanks for having me. Frankie, always a pleasure. Mr. Miguel, now that you got more time over there, hopefully that you'll be blowing me up even more about some trade questions. If you guys like to trade, you know, with myself and my partner, Magic Internet Money, and we also have Max, who is just an absolute stud on order flow and open interest. You can come check everything out about us on leadingcrypto.io. The only other thing I wanted to kind of touch on, I saw somebody in the chat here. Actually, remember, I texted Nick and Miguel this today. It's just like something I like to remind people as we go on, right? Is that it's been 22 months now since the all-time high of Bitcoin, right? So
Has it been that long?
22 months. In 2 months,
I didn't even realize that.
2 months, it'll be 2 years. And, you know, at this point, like, whether or not we get another flush or whatever the case is, when you're talking about, you know, when do you take profits or when do you buy in, a big portion of like what I've come to really learn is time, right? So like when you think about something like Matic or all these like Quant, Solana, all those coins back in 2021 when they were hitting some of these crazy numbers and like when you could have took profits, even without looking at a chart, look at how long they've been running, right? Or look at how much they ran. If something's up 50, 60x in 2-3 months or 9 months, whatever the case is, you know, more than likely you're probably going to be okay taking, you know, some profit there, as long as you don't rebuy right away as like on the next pump or the next dump or whatever the case is, right? Because then you run the risk of just like losing everything you just did. But I think, you know, we're on the horizon here of a pretty nice rally in the markets. I've held that, you know, bias for a long, you know, even without anything news related, right? It'll take one positive news catalyst, you know, something from the Fed, something from the Ukraine war, whatever the case is. You know how it goes, and it's instant, right? In instant green day, you know, you tackle on some of the levels that, you know, Frankie was talking about. Maybe we clear up to 29K and we just get moving, you know, in a couple months. But it is very close. And, you know, it's very dead around. You can tell there's almost nobody anywhere. There's no engagement. If I had to ask anybody I know right now, they will say crypto is dead, or that is a scam, or it's going nowhere. And it blows my mind, because when we were in the bull run, and I remember hearing that the years before, I was like, I can't imagine anybody will ever actually say crypto is dead, Bitcoin is dead. But it is, here we are. And so you're in a really good time, even if you go through 50% drawdowns and this and that, and everybody does, and nobody's perfect. And even like Frankie said, you know, we're not all out here just selling tops every second of the day. You know, we're in it too, and we're learning as we go. And I just, you know, it's just helpful to remind yourself of that in the bigger picture, because it's going to be glorious when the market does turn around and just get volatile again. Like just the moves we had Monday and I guess today, you know, that's what the bull market is every day. It's not like crazy where it's like, you know, 100% moves every day. You just don't have the 3 days of absolute nothing in between every 10% pump. Yeah, and that's what we're kind of getting back to. So just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And ultimately, family, like just we appreciate each and every one of you for being here. I know things have been boring. We know, you know, that things have been questionable at best, but we also know, and I want to encourage everybody, you might not win every battle. And this is with trading, obviously, as well. You might not win every battle, but I believe long term, if you're sticking with crypto, if you're sticking with assets that you truly believe in, the overall thesis should be you should win the war. And if you have a good game plan put together, you got somebody else to come alongside you to call you on maybe some of your good or bad, you know, ideas, right? You can win this thing. And so ultimately, I just want to thank everyone for coming in here. I do want to hit real quick.
Yeah, and quickly to add, by the time you find that comment, is just, dude, sometimes you just need that one trade, right? So like I mentioned earlier in the show, I've lost some money lately, you know, this and that, but I only need to hit that one trade, because if I can hit one of these trades on a green candle like the other day, that's a massive amount of money made right there. So it only takes that one, baby. Let's go. I'm waiting for it.
I am not seeing which comment I was supposed to pull there. So if somebody else, I don't know if you, I don't know.
I was just going to say, Dave Digital saying actually they do sell tops 24/7 in the merch store. I'm assuming for Frankie at the Bathwater Boutique.
Bathwater Boutique.
Tops and bottoms.
Tops and bottoms. Crypto fan, we appreciate you guys for being here. You could have been anywhere on a Thursday afternoon, but you're hanging out with Debate Crypto. Follow Frankie Candles. Follow CVO. Make sure you have on the bell notifications for everybody. And just remember to question everything.
Trust nothing.
And until next time, hodl
like it's hot.
We'll see you soon.